Sumit, I think we can start now.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sitecore User Group Jaipur. And this time we have Dirk with us to present with this topic. Let me tell you something about Dirk. Dirk is a Sitecore senior solution architect and having a great experience on Sitecore. He's almost 25 years of experience, as per my understanding, and he's also a Sitecore technology MVP since 2021. So, without taking much time, I am going to hand over this session to Rick. So, kindly begin the session and screen is all yours, Rick.
Yeah, thank you very much. Um, First of all, thanks for having me. It's really a pleasure presenting today to you. Um, my topic for today is Sitecore Forms Unleashed, accessibility in forms. What does that mean? Um, the unleashed part I will show you later in the backend changes we did because we did much customizations and um, yeah, it was a bit of hard work, but it's worth it. Um, and the other point, as you may see, next time I don't want to do it virtual. I want to have you want to see you in person because I saw Jaipur is such a beautiful place, amazing. Um, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat because I'm presenting from home office at the moment and I only have one screen. Um, yeah, at my first talk to Sumit, I told him I want to share this presentation from the Sukon, which I already did, but then wanted to do something special for you. And then I saw those beautiful pictures. So every chapter slide will have a beautiful picture from Jaipur. I really love it. This will be my next vacation. Okay, let's start.
Name star. My website document. Main landmark. Dialog. Name star edit required blank. Dialog. Project description edit multi-line blank. Name star edit required project blank. Description. Stops.
Has filling out a supposedly simple formula pushed you to your limits before? Now imagine what it must be like for people with disabilities. A barrier-free and accessible web provides the opportunity to participate more actively in society. For everybody.
Yeah, this could be a daily situation of a guy who is blind. If we do not our job properly, um, this maybe get complex for blind people. But it's not only about blind people. First, a short introduction. Sumit introduced me already. My name is Dirk Schäfauer. I'm a Sitecore Senior Solution Architect located in Heilbronn, Germany. I'm a husband, father of two kids, and meanwhile I have four dogs. So it's always great for me in the early morning or in the evening to walk with my dogs. This makes me some kind of calming down um, and get new ideas. I have a agenda for you. First, we will talk about standards. Then why accessibility. This A11Y is the shortcut. It's spoken as ALI. It's the shortcut for accessibility. I will talk about tools, software and hardware, um, and the Sitecore backend changes we did. So this is from there. This is the part where it's become interesting. What we changed in the backend and how we make it possible to implement this accessibility stuff. Inputs and labels is a quick one. Um, Validation. This will become interesting because yeah, I will talk about it later. Uh, autocomplete is something complete new. So this is really a new thing we implement into the Sitecore Forms backend. And we will talk a little bit about security. Standards. There are web content accessibility guidelines. They are there was released kind of 2019, I think. So there are standards. There are the international standards. They are described by W3org. It's a huge documentation how accessibility can implement it into your website. A second, I have to get my laser pointer. Yes. The most important documentation for developers is the Mozilla developers documentation. You will in the next slides you will always see here in this area some kind of links where I refer to this documentation. So everything what we did is nothing new. It's already documented and described, and the same is, it's not about Sitecore or whatever speech you are writing or which technology you are using. It's for everyone. In Germany, it's a little bit harder because all public institutions in Germany have to be accessibility ready, or the lawyer comes and shuts the website down. So we have a bit more restrictive rules to implement this accessibility. This is why we have this. This is called BITV, and they describe steps how to check if your website is accessibility ready. So they describe what should be tested, how it should be tested, and what should be the result. And this is a little bit harder than all over the world, but Germany's are crazy. Yeah, the Web Content Accessibility Guideline consists of 4 principles and 30 guidelines. There are success criteria, and there could be failures or techniques, how to solve that. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, the principles, these are the most important principles, consist of perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Here you can see there's always a reference to the guidelines itself. I will share that presentation later with you that you can follow those links. Yeah, perceivable. The user must be able to perceive the information with any of his senses. This could be hearing, seeing, or feeling. And you may ask you now, how can a user feel a website? All these 4 principles will be handled in my presentation. So I have an example for everything what I'm explaining here. Maybe a short story about the global kickoff from Sitecore 2023. There was a blind speaker. Hein Wagner was his name. He's really a tough guy. He did several of world marathons. He climbed hills, and he did the most difficult mountain bike trail in the world. That was hard to see, But this guy is really a tough guy. But he has a great story. He told about when he was in a school in Mumbai, and he asked the director, why are there only 40 people in the school? And the director said to him, because they are special. And he asked, why are they special? Because they are deaf and blind. So this makes me some kind of chicken skin. So how can they communicate to each other when they can't hear and can't see anything? And this is the part where we come into how to feel a website. This was a beautiful story, and yeah, makes me kind of emotional. The website should be operable for sure with any device which I use to watch a website. It should be operable. There should be no blocks, no interaction that a user cannot perform. The best example for that is I have a cookie banner which blocks my whole website, but the cookie banner is not readable by a screen reader, so the user doesn't know what he has to do. That would be the worst case. It should be understandable. This topic will be covered later in the validation section, because if you have a form and a mandatory form field and it just said field is required, this will not work, because you don't know which field is required. You don't know what you have to enter in, what type of field it is. So everything should be understandable. And for sure, it should be robust. Means software will involve, technology will involve, but the content should be always remain accessibility ready. I have an overview of the WCAG. This might looks a little bit complex, but here you can see the 4 principles, and there are 13 guidelines. There are a bunch more of guidelines. I just took the first ones, so you can check, is it readable? Is it keyboard accessible? Can I tap through my page? Then you will have a success criteria. This can end into failures. And you have techniques which you can do to make your website much more accessibility ready. If you will get more and more deeper into this topic, you will see there are lots of techniques, but also simple things which you can do, the quick wins. Why accessibility? What's the intention? I will now show you some quotes. I took them from the internet, and these are really, for me, the most important and emotional quotes which I found. It's the power of the web is its universality. Everyone, regardless of his disability, should be able to access this wonderful content of information of the internet. This quote is from Tim Berners-Lee, W3C director. This is my most favorite quote, because everyone, we all people over the world benefit from accessibility. Because if you are living in a house in the 4th floor, and you are sporty, you will every day jump the stairs up and down, but at one day you will fall down the stairs, break your leg, and I'm pretty sure you will use the elevator. Or people with parents with strollers, they will not be able to carry it up the stairs. Old people or people with walking difficulties alike. This could be if they are handicapped, missing feet or whatever, they will definitely use the elevator. For us developers, it's important that the network becomes barrier-free, because we should achieve that everyone, independent of his disability, should participate more actively in in society, because this is really, for me, a topic which comes from the bottom of my heart. We should more integrate them. Yeah, this is a special friend of mine. I was playing fistball in a club with people with disabilities since 30 years, and thanks to Hans-Jürgen, I think not everyone will share such pictures with me, but he did it. In my eyes, this guy is not disabled. He is a kind of, I don't know how to say. He's some kind of special. He had an accident with a tram in the age of 5, so he has not much of his arms left. But everything he did in his life, he did it with his tool, with his hook. So he can grab some things. He drives car. If he drives car, he can move that tool to another one, and he can hook it into the steering wheel to drive the car. He has the most beautiful handwriting I ever saw, which he did with his hook. And for me, this guy is not disabled. He's an X-Man. Yes, he's some kind of special. Every guy I met in this club over the whole years, I don't have the feeling there that they are disabled or something else. They are special. Okay, let's talk about tools. I will not do any live demo in this presentation. This has a reason, because we use software which talks about everything. So this is not only a screen reader, it's an helper. Let's come to the software. It's called desktop access, which means it will read everything. If I change the slide here, it will talk about it. This is not good for a presentation. So most of the stuff I will show you is recorded, but the result will remain the same. Yeah, non-visual desktop access is one of the most common software which blind people are using. It's affordable. It's 100% free, so you can download it, use it, and make it better, because it's open source. It's driven by their own community. They have a lot of feedback from blind people, which they can make better in the software. It has a speech viewer. This helps me as a developer to see, and that's what I talking about before. It will know my PowerPoint presentation, and it will always read about slide and what I did and everything else. So you can check your website what a screen reader will read for the user. And I'm not good in Braille, but you always can see the output of your text you are testing or whatever. You can see the output, what it would be in Braille. I will come to that back later because this all fits together with this feeling of a website. For sure, we have our developer tools in Chrome. Chrome has an accessibility tab here as well, where you can check what is specified, what is not specified, if contrast is good or not. I didn't see much developers who make use of that tab. Then there are several tools to check the contrast. This is really an interesting story as I presented this topic at SUCON. I met my very best friend from Brazil, and he said, this is very interesting what you are showing here, because he has a red-green blindness, and a red-green blindness is like they see red and green like the same gray color. So they don't have a difference between red and green. So therefore, you have a contrast checker where you can see a combination of red and green would not be good because people with red and green blindness will not see the content. Yeah, and for sure, the HTML validator we all should take care about to create valid HTML output. Also, it doesn't depend which technology you use. The HTML output should always be valid. Hardware. So now I will leave you 3 minutes alone with this video, because now we are at the part which I told before. How can you feel a website? And I'm still impressed by this video because I got it exclusively from Ramona Mendy. She's from Humanware in Australia. Yeah, and that always makes me a bit emotional. So be prepared. See how blind people working with the internet.
Hello, I'm Ramona Mandy and I work as a sales consultant for Humanware, who make adaptive technology for vision impaired people. Today, I'd like to demonstrate our brand new Braille Note Touch, which is the first Google certified Braille tablet. So this is the Braille Note Touch. It's Humanware's latest generation of note takers. We've been making Braille notes for many years, which are productivity devices, allowing people to take notes, schedule appointments, etc. The difference between past versions and this one is that it's a Google certified Braille tablet. So it's a note taker, but it's based on an Android platform, which allows us to use Android apps as well as our own programs. It's a unit that allows me to do Braille entry with the Braille keys on top, and it has a Braille display so I can read the text that I'm producing or reading from other people. By doing a W, I can jump straight to the word processor.
Word processor, keyword.
And you'll notice it has speech as well. I press enter because I want the word
Alert,
processor.
keyword recovery file exists. Keyword do not process last session properly. Do you want to open the recovery file to save it or discard it?
it's
Discard,
given me a
discard, open.
message telling me I forgot to close my other message properly, and there's a discard button. I'll just do D
Discard button.
and enter.
Keyword menu.
Now I'm going to do C for create,
Create.
enter,
Loading. Please wait 3 period.
and it
Edit box.
allows
End
me
of
now to write
Dots
this
1
is
S
a
N T E
test
3 D O C
document,
U
not
5 2
very
2 5
original.
6. Document. Top.
And I can read that in Braille, I can play it back with speech,
This is a test document.
and
End
I
of
can
document.
slow it down.
Fast. Normal.
Oh, I love it when she
Slow.
slows down.
Very slow.
Whoops, I've slowed it down too
Very
much.
slow.
And so
Top.
it's
Slow.
it allows me to also use a headphone, etc. So I can write my document, my notes, my thesis, whatever I'm writing, and I can exit out of this document.
Alert exit keyword. Do you want to save your document?
Do I want to save it? Let's
No.
say N
Yes.
for no,
No button.
enter.
Keyword menu.
Now what's remarkable
Create.
about this is in an environment where I have support from sighted people, I can lift up the screen and I've got a visual display on the tablet. So I can now work with sighted peers to collaborate with them. If I'm a student and I want the teacher to check my work, they can look in at the visual display to see what I've written. But I can also braille directly on this screen. By touching the screen, I can get a
Open.
access to the document, access by touching the braille only, by touching the screen, I'm sorry. And that means silent typing. It means it's very easy to use and it's a touch screen. So it's really easy to use just by putting your fingers on the glass and
Key
accessing
files.
the document
SSP notes from the 22nd of July.
just like I would with the
Docs.
Braille keyboard. But I can also access Android applications, as I said. So I have full access to YouTube, the Google Play Store, Google Docs, all of those mainstream applications as well, just through the provided apps or the ones that I've downloaded through a Wi-Fi connectivity. So it really allows me to be empowered as a student, but also integrated in a mainstream environment.
Yeah. Wherever you are, make some noise for Ramona Mendy. This is really amazing. I didn't know that before that such hardware exists, and they exclusively shared the video with me. This was really cool, and I'm still in touch with Humanware. I shared the presentation from Sukon with them. This was really cool stuff. Okay, the backend changes. Now we will come closer what we did in the Sitecore backend. First of all, you may recognize this as the normal forms backend, but it isn't. Everything you will see here in this area is done by ourselves. So I made all these expanders, all these items inside there are done by ourselves because there's a reason for it. If we want to do custom fields like a single line text, we have to override the view. So in future updates, when Sitecore will release updates, those views will be overwritten. So we took them all out in a custom folder, and we did those views by ourselves. What we did is we hide all default Sitecore expanders. We create new expanders. We copy all form fields, which was relevant for the customer. So not every field. We created new views, and we added all those custom fields to the custom expanders. I will show you that. First of all, we have to copy all the fields. So we have our own field types. In this case, it's called MSW Basic and the lists. Remember, remind this idea. This will be later important when I set the data source of those expanders to the fields. And yes, for sure, we did our own view. This is the default Sitecore view of a single line text field. It's straightforward, but with all our changes, our ones looks like that. So there's much more. I will use this screen later in the slides to show you the changes which affect several areas of this code here. Yeah, the backend changes in the core DB. For sure, you have to use Sitecore Rocks. There's still no better option to do changes in the core DB. And this is really hard to find, how to change the right side of the forms backend. It's called info tab control. That is not easy to find, but it's documented. And this design has a layout. And as you see, we added there our custom expanders and our custom trackables. And just to show, we hide the default expanders here. It's not visible. And our own expanders are visible, so we hide them all. Maybe for the package which I create at the moment, I can't hide the Sitecore stuff, but yes. And here you can see this idea which points to the data source of the fields in the master database. Inputs and labels, this is really a quick win because it's really easy. It's just one attribute which you have to add to your input. Here's the short demo.
Name star. My website document. Main landmark. Dialog. Name star edit required blank. Dialog. Project description edit multi-line blank. Dialog. Name star edit required blank.
This is just a simple demo. You may notice if I click on the name label, the focus of the cursor will jump into the input field. And if I click into the input field, the screen reader will read the label. So that's an easy connection. If I say label 4, this is default from Sitecore, but I added this attribute area described by and point to this label. You can see this is all described by the developer documentation from Mozilla. I love this topic, validation. I heard so often in Slack that developers want to have a customer-friendly validation message. And as I told in the understandable section, if there's only a required field message which is called field is required, I don't know what I should fill in there or what I have to enter there. And the regular way to do that in MVC is also not nice. So I decided to add a custom field to the Sitecore Forms backend where I can enter a user-friendly validation message. And this validation section here, it's already there. You may know that. And we just added another field where you can enter a user-friendly validation message. It's also described, it's all documented here in this link. And this is how it looks like in the forms backend. So you can just enter whatever text you want to. In this case, I just enter edit. I go back to my page. Do a reload. And then you will have the edited required field message. And you can enter there whatever you want. So one of our customers is really happy with this solution because he enters, please enter your first name or please enter your last name. This is quite cool because they are user-friendly, they are understandable. Yeah. This is the code behind. It's just to grab this field. So this settings helper are default in Sitecore. We just took one of them and adjusted it to get this field or set this field. Another cool thing is live regions and alert row. They are also described by WCHE. It's just this part, and as you may see, there is no code necessary. So if you just say in this area of a div, if there is something changing, then I advise the screen reader to read that. Simple example. So if I submit the form,
Dialog, please enter your name. Name star edit required, please enter your name blank.
it will suddenly jump up to the first mandatory field and will read the error message, the required field error message. And this is also a quick win, what you can do. It helps a lot for blind people if they are not be able to see what happens when they submit a form, or if something changed within an area. And this helps a lot. Just 3 attributes which you can add to your container, and the screen reader will read suddenly if something changed inside there. Yeah. Oh, this is my most favorite background image because I'm a monkey as well. Autocomplete is something new. This is not out of the box from Sitecore. I show the changes in the master DB. For the autocomplete, we did a completely new data source because they are a lot. But you all may know if you fill out a form, you will always have your autocomplete. And all these types of autocompletes we put into Sitecore. And they are really a lot. But you can also have combinations. So I can differ between home telephone number or work telephone number or mobile telephone number or home email address or work email address. Here's what we did in the 4dB. In this case, we had to create a completely new expander because it wasn't exist. And this is the configuration for the expander. Yeah, and then we added it to our fields. And this is a kind of problem. This is the idea of the configuration. And the problem is here because this expander is field specific. Yeah, here I just point to that data source which I created before in the master DB. And this is the other one. Yeah, the problem is this expander is field related. So I have to add it to every field where I want to have this expander. And you will see here, we was a bit lazy and we cloned it to every field. So every time when I change something in the original accessibility field, it will be added automatically to all other fields. This is kind of work, but gladly Sitecore allows cloning. This is how it looks like in the forms backend. So there's a completely new expander here where you can choose the autocomplete which you want to have. And yes, I will get back to my very best friend Hans-Jürgen Mienke. You may notice the guy with the hook. For him is this a really, really, really big help because he just has to start typing his first name and he could fill out the form with all his information. And this is really a huge help for guys with disabilities. This is again the settings helper. It's a bit bigger than this for the validation, but it's the same. I just get the fields, in this case 2 fields, or set the field. Yeah, and at the end, uh, it may be a little bit sad, but this is the only markup which will be generated. So as you can see, it's just one attribute which I add to my input field. And I did all that whole work in the master DB and core DB just to make this little thing possible. Okay. We can discuss later if it's worth it to do so much work. I will always say, yes, it's worth it. Here's the demo.
My website document. Main landmark. Dialog. Email private edit has autocomplete blank. Autofill list expanded. Test at example.com 1 of 2. Test 2 at example.com 2 of 2. Test my website document. Main landmark. Dialog. Email private edit has autocomplete test 2 at example.com test 2 at example.com.
Yeah. In this sample, we just did it with the email address, but you all may know if you ever filled out a form, the data will be saved, and if you do it twice or did the same information in another form, autocomplete will always give you a recommendation what you can enter. And for me, this is one of the most important thing. It's not always for guys with disabilities on their hands. It's also for blind people. If they touch the first field and enter the first name, autocomplete will suddenly tell them, hey, you can fill out the form with all your informations you had. And the screen reader, this is the cool stuff, the screen reader will read everything which will be entered by autocomplete. So this is something completely new, and for me, one of the most important steps I did in the forms backend. And this is also a funny thing. I'm close in contact with Adam Naimanovic, head of development, and the Sitecore forms development team, and they already got the code for this. So hopefully we will make it possible in release 10.3 that all those stuff will be in there. Let's talk a bit about security. Security is kind of difficult because CAPTCHA are very challenging for blind people. It's like they can't see if you have to validate and text. This is my most favorite, find all traffic lights. This is impossible for a blind guy. Audio could work for blind guys, but it will not work for deaf people. And puzzles are also not possible. Please follow this link here because this is a really good documentation about inaccessibility of CAPTCHAs. And we decided to use Honeypot. Honeypot is an alternative to CAPTCHA. I have a short description. It's a device or method to distract attacker or enemies from their actual target and draw them into an area what otherwise would not have been interested them. And it's a simple, I would call it, yeah, it's a hidden field, but it's like a trap. So if a robot scans my website and he fills out this hidden field, then I knew it's not a human being. So it must be a robot or whatever. And this is just a trap. But the cons are those bots are getting more and more better. They are really, really intelligent. So the validation must be more specific. Maybe in the near future, we have to add a custom validator for this honeypot field. And yeah, but this allows definitely blind people to use forms without any challenging captchas or whatever. And we know if there is a bot or something else is coming, an attacker or whatever, we can validate this and we can prevent those bots from sending a forms or to use it as a spam sender or whatever. This looks in the backend. It looks like this. We added a custom field which you can add to your form. Yeah, and that's it. It's quite easy. There's a bit JavaScript behind those honeypot field which validates the field itself. Yeah, then that's it. Now it would be a good point to put questions into the chat. If you want to get in contact with me, here you have all my handles. I'm on Sitecore Chat, Slack, Twitter, Stack Exchange, LinkedIn, King. You can contact me everywhere. Don't hesitate to do it. This is one of my dogs. I have a Shiba Inu as well. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the nice presentation, Rick. So really nice doc you have. And then we also have some few questions, so you can go through them one by one and can give your valuable feedback. So to
Yeah.
start with, we have one question that will it work only with Sitecore 9 forms or WFM form as well?
Um, this demonstration which I did is done with Sitecore 9, but it will also work with 10. So everything I did are non-breaking changes. So you can use it in every version of Sitecore. Adam promised me it will be part of the next release in 10.3, but this is a very exclusive information for you now. As I said, I'm really close with the Sitecore Forms development team. There will be an evolution of forms. You may all notice Sitecore bought 4 or 5 products, CDP, Personalize, and AutoCloud, and whatever. And Sitecore Forms will have the same evolution, which means Sitecore Forms will become a separate product. And they are now on the way to make forms like embedded JavaScript, which means you can use Sitecore Forms in an WordPress website as well. And my part now is, and that's what I'm working on, is to do all those backend changes to create a package of them and send it over to the Sitecore Forms team. And then I will get an exclusive account, a contribution to the GitHub repository of Sitecore Forms. And then I will create all those stuff which I was showing you with this accessibility ready and those attributes. I will put into the next release of Sitecore Forms. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So actually, we also had one question that Sitecore package for this integration with 8.2 will work. So I guess you already answered that it should work for any Sitecore version, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's non-breaking changes. This is what I was explaining, that we do all the form fields have their own views. So it could not be overwritten by any Sitecore update, and it could also be used in any version because it's just an MVC view. The fields itself are items, so they work in 8.2, 9.3, or 10.2, and all the backend stuff in the core DB is the same. It's just items with definition or configurations. So these are all non-breakable changes. That's why I'm working hard to get that package done and to make it public ready, that you can all use it in every version of Sitecore. Yeah.
Okay, that's really great. And we have one more question, and that is like AD and FERPA rules are there for the accessibility. So will this like current implementation what we have seen, so is it like support all these rules, or is something like 60% or 70% is following that AD and FERPA rules?
It follows most of that rules. So we did that on the base of BETV, and in my that's what I'm talking about. Germany is very restrictive about those rules, and it should follow all of these rules. So yeah, because we didn't wouldn't get those tests to be accessibility ready. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. One last question is now, currently everywhere we have the news that now Sitecore XM Cloud is out. So that Sitecore forms may won't be no supported in that particular platform, right?
Yeah. XM Cloud is on the roadmap of the Sitecore Forms team. But I think they will be finished with XM Cloud in the next year. But I already set up an XM Cloud instance as well, and there was a Sitecore Forms application. So I think they will do it with this embedded JavaScript, but in the next year they will integrate it as a separate product into XM Cloud. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's really great, Drake. It's about really a nice session. We really enjoyed it, and really you have a nice background of Jaipur. Maybe like we have not seen all of those, so you encourage us to go out and see all those stuff.
Yeah, next time I want to see them. I really, really appreciate. When I saw the pictures, I was in love.
Yeah,
That's
next
really
time, whenever we get chance, we will do it offline.
Yes. Cool. Then again, thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure presenting those topics to you.
thanks. It's our
Yeah,
pleasure
thank you.
as well.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, then. Bye bye.
Okay,
See
bye
you
bye.
Bye. Have a nice day. Thank you.
sometimes at some event, maybe,
Yeah, we'll wait for you.
or at symposium. I will
Yeah,
be
sure.
there.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Cool.